What is up, Sandshark fam? This is Brackin alongside my co-host, the statting frostation, Mr. Donald Pearson, JJ
What's
and Wes.
up?
Um, Hopefully they'll be in here in a little bit, but we're JJ said we're on a time crunch tonight, so wanted to make sure we kept this intro going and rolling. So DP, how was your weekend, man?
Man, it was wonderful. I actually had to work yesterday and today. So, making money. I'm good with that any time of the week. Um, but outside of that, man, I've just been relaxing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have a lot of games in December. So once January hit, man, it's gonna be all hands on deck.
January 4th, man, and I still can't believe how much work you like, how much time you got to take going back from us to Savannah State and anybody else in between. It's all a little bit crazy, man. So
Yeah. Man, I love it, man. I just love sports, man. That's what I do.
that's,
Next year it's gonna be even crazier, man. I'm trying to dig into that SEC championship volleyball
oh, I
coming
know.
to Savannah in market.
I'm so pumped. Like I said, keep me on the list for that one. I'm pretty excited for that.
Hey, I'm trying to get you there, definitely. So we're gonna make sure that happens.
Yeah. So, man, we got a full slate tonight that we're going to cram into about 39 minutes right now before we get out
Whew.
of here. But indoor track and field kicked off its season on Friday. Men's basketball started the week on the road at IUP, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then women's basketball wrapped up the week with two games, one against Barton on Tuesday, and then started conference play
Mhm.
yesterday against Augusta. So a full slate. But let's talk about the season that just started in our indoor track and field team. So a slew of newcomers started this season, and Coach Harris, who I'm sure we'll have on at some point again this year, she um oh, just got a text message. JJ just nodded off. He'll be here momentarily. Uh,
Wake
I'm
up,
glad.
man.
I I was about to doze off earlier too, so I came upstairs to do a little bit of work before getting on. But yeah, I mean that entire team is basically freshmen, and a
Hmm.
lot of exciting talent. And the big one right now is that there were a lot of school records broken. I have to go back and check one of them for the long jump, I believe, for Cam. Terica texted me a little bit later on in the afternoon after I'd posted the story and was like, "Hey, check and see if Cam broke the indoor record too." I was like, "Oh, okay." So we had three records for sure known. The one that I know the most about is the weight throw. Um, you know anything about the weight throw, DP?
Um, I mean, other than it's an extremely heavy ball that you have to chuck as hard as you can.
Uh
But
huh.
nah, track and field hasn't really been my biggest thing
Right.
as far as statistics because all of the colleges, the teams actually have to keep their own stats
Right.
while they're participating. So that kind of eludes me a little bit.
Yeah.
But I know, watching Olympics and that kind of thing, actually having track and field at Savannah State and just going out watching those guys, man. Like I know from personal experience that I'm not throwing the ball further than about 5 yards.
Yeah. About 15 feet. Right.
Yeah, at most, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, so shout out to Sophia Stalford. She broke her record last year. I think this year was a 36 foot 4.5 inches throw on her on her weight throw. So that's huge. And then um, Caleb Cooper, he's also an incoming freshman. He broke the high jump record. His it was like 6.5 feet, nearly 6 feet 6 inches, or 6 feet 6.45 inches. So that's a big jump. Cam Edwards, who possibly has another school record in the triple jump or the long jump. I again have to go back and look. He he set that record last year in the indoor season, just Coach Harris was like, "Hey, do you want to go pick up some points for us?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. Why not? I'll go do the high jump." Basically holds the indoor record, and I think he owns the outdoor records for the long and triple jump. I'd have to go back and look. It's been a few months since I've worked on the record book, but here he is. Here he is.
Sorry about it, boys.
Hey, man. Welcome, sir.
What up, big dog?
Zonked out for a bit on the couch and overslept a minute.
Hey, that couch is comfy. I can attest to that couch in the.
I don't know if you know this couch or not. That's the couch in my office upstairs.
Yeah, in the loft.
Yeah. I was out.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah,
so we're catching up a little bit on the indoor track and field season, as that kind of kicked us off this weekend.
All right, good deal.
So, couple of school records broken.
Terica ready to roll?
Oh yeah. So a couple school records broken. We were talking about Sophia Stalford in the 4x4 in the weight throw. She broke her record last year, or broke her record that was set last year.
Nice.
And then Caleb Cooper broke the high jump record, and then the 4x4 relay. This is the one that impressed me the most. It was all freshmen, and they broke it by nearly 30 seconds. Wow. The previous record was 3 minutes 53 seconds, and they got it in 3 minutes and 27 seconds this year. So
wow, and they're all freshmen. So that's some good recruiting. That's some good recruiting. That's
they got 3 more years to improve it.
Yeah, and a lot of points that you start looking at for later on. The 60, the 200, the 300, the 4, the 1,000 meter, all in the distance and the sprints and whatnot. And then you look at the field events. Still got to get a women's pole vaulter. I know that's something that we're looking for. I think the last pole vaulter that was local was Jackie Barnes, right? She's at Beaufort High and then went on to Sanford.
I don't know. How long ago was that?
I mean, I think she was like 4 years younger than I was. So 2014 freshman. So would have graduated 20, maybe a little bit less than that. So
I don't know. That name wasn't registering for me for some reason, but there's some pockets in my memory these days,
Yeah.
Getting on in years.
So, but a very successful meet. And the biggest thing that I saw was that they were, I don't know in open meets like that if they keep points or if they're keeping, like there was no, first place, second place.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're competing against Ole Miss and Memphis and those teams. The Birmingham Indoor Icebreaker, which was hosted previously by Birmingham Southern, the school that last year made all that noise, making it to the D3 World Series.
Oh yeah.
That school got permanently closed. So, but yeah, I mean, a great first outing for them, and they'll take a break, and then they'll be back in the horse on January 18th up at the Mondo College Invite. So get one meet under their belt for the year. And I'm looking forward to talking with Coach Harris tomorrow when we get in the office and see what she says about it. So
very good.
Hopefully we can give a little bit more update on next week. So
man, I'm looking at some of these 60 meters that y'all men ran, and you're looking at 7.05. Man, that's pretty good. And your top 3 were all freshmen. So only thing I can see is them getting better, man. Going sub 7 on a 60 meter. It's pretty quick. I think that can probably improve drastically by the time they get to their senior year.
Yeah.
Or even to spring season.
Yeah. And the thing is Terica's bringing in those coaches around to really enhance her program. Jake is the track and field or the cross country. He primarily focused on cross country and distance. Obviously, Larry's still around to help with the distance a little bit. But then you got Dave Downey, who does a lot of the like strength and conditioning, but he is also the pole vaulting coach. Xavier Morris, who is a coach over at May River, works at Buford High, and works with us. He's the one who's leading the throwers in that category. And then you've got Baron Oliver, BJ, and then a couple of others who have joined the staff who haven't, I haven't all met yet, but she's adding those pieces around with those volunteer assistants to really and really help with this
specialists.
Right. And we know that Terica's got that experience with the sprints and the jumps and all that kind of stuff. So throw it back to when we announced her as Tarika, your first day.
I mean, it was one or the other.
Yep, one or the other. So, excited for them, and I'm excited to talk with Terica on all the other stuff tomorrow. So, but let's talk some women's hoops, man. And we just can't get anything rolling right now in terms of just staying healthy. It's really going to come down to when we can get that group back and get healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slog right now. Ella Coffey played really well for a couple games, put up some points. That's how she got a start against Augusta, but then didn't have the same offensive success that she's had, which people are going to see on film what she was doing, and pay her a little more mind when she comes into the game, and she was in the starting lineup, so they were looking for her. But Gattosi continued to play really well. I put up another nice stat line, and it's. What else can you say about the backcourt situation? Bart gave some good minutes again. She scored 4 points and had 3 assists. So she's doing what they're asking her to do right now. She's being who they're asking her to be, and that's good to see. But they just don't have a lot of options when it comes to handling the ball and running the offense right now, and that's not going to change overnight. It's going to change when somebody comes back, and not really before then. So it is what it is. But tough L. Certainly.
Well, the game was a whole lot closer than it was.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing we've been seeing through 3 quarters. It's a fight, right? But then in the fourth quarter, they just don't have the legs left to keep fighting, and it gets away. So 72-50. It was a 7-point game at half, 11-point game going to the fourth. So within striking distance, and just no legs to finish because the depth is lacking.
Yeah. And then up there in the 7-0 run that ended the second quarter that put Augusta up, because Lydia hit a 3-pointer, and you don't see her take the long range shot very often. But she hit it and put us up 24-23. And then we went back and forth for, I think, 3.5 minutes or so before Augusta rattled off. They got a 3, and then they, picked off. But I will say the game was a turnover. Like, turnovers hurt us tremendously on Saturday. 33-11. Yeah.
33 turnovers, man.
And
really that just comes from not having a true point guard out there, man. That's just really all it is.
Yeah.
You got all 3 of your ball handlers, they're not there. And it's hard to overcome not having a pure ball handler out there, man.
Well, and then you had Shania and Arya both had 4 fouls, which Arya, really good showing, by the way. 8 points and 6 boards in just 17 minutes. So, she's banging in there. But with those 2 in foul trouble, that leaves you pretty thin inside too. And as we've talked about, everybody in the Peach is going to have a big who can hurt you inside. So, and Abercrombie, like she was the one, although she made a couple threes as well.
Yeah,
she had a double-double.
Yeah.
But I mean, the big, like a lot of things that I saw, Ellie hit a three, and that was her only points of the game. But it was one of those corner threes that she's been, shooting all season, and she made it, and that was something. I don't think she took another shot after that.
That was the only three she took. She was 2 for
Yeah.
3 for 5 points, but that was the only 3-pointer
Mhm.
she took, which I think that's probably good. That she's being a little more selective right now until she starts to knock them down.
Yeah.
But she's growing up fast though. She really is. Her handle's getting better. She's gonna be all right. She's a good shooter.
Yeah, once she gets that confidence up, man, that's really all she's lacking at this point. Because you can tell she's a really good shooter.
Hmm.
She just being a freshman, being in a game, put into a position that she's probably not used to. She's probably just used to being off the ball as much as possible as a shooting guard.
Right.
And now that
That's
she has to play that point guard position, it's just a little bit more eyes on me. And when you're a
yeah.
shooter, you don't want the eyes on you that much. You want to be able to run around like you're crazy and get open and pull the trigger whenever you feel like it. So that's probably what's causing her the most trouble.
Yeah, you can tell she likes to catch and shoot. And I mean, you're getting your shot from different
Mhm.
spots on the floor too, right? Like you're playing the two, you're
Mhm.
catching it on the wings and in the corner a lot. And if you're playing the point, you're probably shooting more up top.
Yeah.
So it's a little different up there, but I mean, it's a slog right now, man. Every time I look over there and see all them guards on crutches and boots, I'm just like, here we go
Well,
again.
I will say I was at the school this afternoon and saw some positive. Sheridan's out of the boot,
Okay.
and
All right.
walking around, and obviously that's on Tana, knowing that she's out of the boot, and she's um was talking with Aaron before the game on yesterday, and she was like, they'll be cleared to practice and get limited touches once they get back from Christmas break, and then be able to play come January 4th against Clayton. So get a couple of limited minutes to start, and then hopefully. But if you get Sheridan back and you get Tanaya back and Kmar, I mean, just Kmar played terrific through those first few games, just being able to run the
Mhm.
point, and you just hope that everything's going to work in our favor come those games in the Peach Belt Conference. Because, like you said, there's always going to be somebody there, whether it be a big. But I mean, Ari and Bree, man, those two have really done really well. The blocks, that's what I'm looking at right now. Anytime I see Ari's hand go up, I'm like, ooh, that's close. But then I feel like there's always kind of a stigma of being a big, because anytime someone runs up to you or runs into you trying to draw that foul and your hands are straight up, even though they're
Mhm.
straight up, you're still going to call the foul. Like,
Right.
and it's literally
And
like Ari got called out.
They sometimes,
Shania.
yeah. I don't know. Sometimes they drive me crazy how they call it inside.
Yeah, I mean, Ari had her hands up straight up 2 times, and the girl ran into her, and she didn't move, and she gets called for the foul. Like, there's nothing you can do with that. Put her, and she gets called for these ticky tack fouls, and you're just like, dude,
Yeah.
how do you handle that? You just don't.
Both of
Yeah.
them was in foul trouble too. Having 4 fouls, it kind of gets you to not playing as tough a defense. When
Right.
you start to get less aggressive because you know that the referees are blowing the whistle. Now those challenging layups turn into like pretty easy baskets, uncontested almost.
Yeah. So, but Bree had a little spot there where she had 3 blocks, 2 or 3 blocks on back to back shots. So I was like, ooh, okay, it's good to
Yeah,
see her up
she
there.
had 3. And sometimes I think there's somewhere she doesn't get credited with it, but she could get it. She alters a bunch more shots than she actually blocks, you know. So She's going to be a real weapon, I think, as
Yeah.
she continues to adjust to the game. I mean, look at Arya's growth this year over last year already, just getting adjusted to the speed of the game and the college game. She's grown year over year, you know. So I can't wait to see what Bree looks like, you know, come junior or senior year. She's going to be a force in there.
Yeah, I'm excited. Definitely excited to see how they grow, especially Bree. You know, her being so young. Both Ari and Shania are seniors, and then you know Audra is not your typical 5. She's she's like a 3. Realistically, she's just a 5.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, she ain't a 5. She's a 3. Yeah.
yeah. So you go out there and get another 5. You know, maybe you get a girl who's maybe even a little bit taller than Bree, 6'2", 6'3". Man, I think it reminds me of that one girl from Georgia Southwestern last year, and she was just a monster. So, but I'm excited, man. I think that it's going to be to get Sheridan back, to get Naya back, and Kamar back, and you can cycle through kind of like the guys do, and give those breaks a little bit more, because then you don't need to rely so much on Lydia, and you don't need to rely so much on Bart to be your scorers. And then the one person we haven't talked about is Jay. You get Jay back, and that's
Right.
scoring, and I think she'll be healthy come January too. So you get her back, man. That's a game changer. That's like getting a mid-season transfer, or a huge blockbuster trade after the All-Star break. Like that's and she's got that mid-range jumper, and she's not afraid to take it to the hoop and get fouled, because she's going to knock them back just like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say the stat line that I liked the most, they were 12 for 12 from the free throw line.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was huge. It was hard to get to the rim, but every time they did, they knocked them down. And that was, I saw that when I was writing the story. I said, "Ooh, okay, 12 for 12, man, love that." So,
very good,
man. It's going to be.
They didn't shoot any free throws in the first quarter.
Yeah,
ended up down by 8 in the first. No free throws. I would say that's a pretty good it's a pretty good quarter without any free throws. And Augusta shot 6, and they were pretty good from the stripe as well. So that definitely didn't help us out. But I think going 12 for 12, and then if you get Jay back and she's doing good at the stripe, I think that'll be one of those things that'll help put us over the top really easily.
Yeah.
Amen.
So, but let's talk the men now, guys. Like that, this team, man, is still super exciting. I know we've only got to see them twice here at home, or once at home and once,
yeah,
in
the
vicinity at home. But after taking that loss to Savannah State, man, they came back out hard, picked up a big win against Slippery Rock, and then the big one I think everyone kind of was really excited for was the IUP game.
Yep.
And that was huge. I know we talked last week about the Slippery Rock game, but now they get like 16 days to rest. They've played 9 games, a lot this season, and really good. And I know everyone was pretty excited about that game, especially those Pittsburgh guys. Kyle, Kyle had his big return back to IUP, but a 10-point victory, man, that was pretty big.
Man, 6 people in double figures.
Yep.
They were putting it on thick out there, man.
Yeah, man, and Huddy, man, that was
that man brings some juice now. When he comes in, he brings some energy right now, and he's a big physical dude. 14 points and 8 boards in this game. Really effective with his offense. Getting what he needed, a couple threes. He can create for himself. I've been really impressed with him. I thought coming into the season, I was really excited about seeing the return of Dylan Lewis from injury, but I had kind of slept on Hudson because he got hurt so early in the season. Like he wasn't top of mind as a guy that was like, oh yeah, he'll be back too. But man, he has looked terrific in the early season.
He really has.
What happened to Dom? Did he get hurt?
Yeah, he hurt himself during warmups and
tried to go and couldn't.
Tried to go play in, and then he said it was still bothering him, so they just said, "Hey, we're not going to risk it," and just kept him out. But I mean, you didn't need I don't say you didn't need him.
Well, that's why we play 12 deep. We got a guy.
Real deep. Absolutely.
But you look at that, Christian and Huddy both had 14, and Alejandro had 14.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so spaced out. And again, like 9 games in, and not one player has double-figure rebounds.
That's crazy work.
It really is. But
then the other thing is,
look at how the rebounds are.
Like, you only have to play half a game,
right? Exactly.
So the rebounds per minute's still really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huddy had 8, but
look at it. They got
minutes. So if he plays 30 minutes, then he's easily got double digits.
Yeah. No, it's I think last year we kind of just relied so much on.
Well, that's true too. Marcus just got a bunch of them because not many got over him. Like he got them all. But now they're up for grabs, and guys are scooping them up. I mean, it's still that's probably still like the one concern, I guess, if you have one about the team is like, until Pat gets all the way back, like there's not a true big. And defensively, that's a bit of a matchup problem against some teams, but the way they play help defense, it shouldn't be a critical problem. I don't think. I think they'll be able to overcome it. But it'll be something that against good bigs, they're going to have to game plan for that. And have a way to defend that.
Probably have to play a little more zone than they really like to when you have somebody that big down there and you got a bunch of guards on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, you got to deny the entry pass as best you can, right? And then you got to help quick on the block, but it opens them up for kick outs. So then you got to close out good and switch, and it introduces moving parts to the defense when you don't have one big guy who can lock down the big. So that'll be a challenge. But Patty, he only played 3 minutes. He's still working his way back, I guess, from injury.
Yeah, his back. He's still working that back. It'll come and go. He gets those little spurts, and then but again, in this style of play, he may get 3 or 4 minutes on the court, and then he's off. Right. But I mean, like KG plays a whole lot taller than 6'1".
Oh yeah, for sure.
Christian.
Oh my goodness.
Christian and Dom both listed at 6'7", but man, they both play like their athleticism plays so much more than 6'7". And I mean this in a good way. Like they're playing at their height plays up as a big,
right?
Like their athletic ability to jump and get rebounds gets them up.
Yeah. Well, and the style of play. I mean, the Sand Sharks in general played terrific help defense. So like, it's not asking them to be outside of themselves to play a smaller lineup and do that kind of thing. So they get it. Like they play that kind of defense. So they swarm, and they fly around, and that's what you have to do when you're small. Is you just have to get another body to the ball as fast as you can, and they do a good job of that. And honestly, I mean, we talked about this a little bit, but the big man and Kevin Lemby's been blowing up our comments as he
He
does.
really has.
But half of them, I don't even know what he's talking about. They're obscure references that I'm not getting. But Patty is going to be an asset, and they know that. That's why they're working him back in there. But it does kind of, when they have a big in there, it kind of throws off the rhythm a little bit because they can't just be as all out as they want to be. You get yourself into some bad number situations if you get running the floor too much and you got a big guy to keep up. So, I think in some ways when a big's in there, it kind of changes the complexion of the way things run, and not always for the best. So,
Right.
And in certain matchups, they're going to need him, but in other matchups, he just needs to stay ready. So, but it's a complete team. I mean, it's a complete team, and I think we're seeing over the last couple of games that that the Savannah State game was a little bit of an outlier. They just did not shoot the ball very well that night. Couldn't get a bounce. And Savannah State played well. Great credit to those guys. But I think if those teams played again, I think there's likely a different outcome.
So let me ask you guys this, because I mean, everything you talk about it, they talk about it, especially like in baseball, where you come in and you play that, you see that third deck up there, playing there.
I think it's real. I've been told by some people it's over exaggerated, that it's, shooting is shooting, the rim's still where the rim always is. But I think the shooting background matters. I've talked to lots of guys over the years who talked about playing in NCAA tournaments and the depth of that shooting background, and how different it is and how hard it is to adjust. And Savannah State plays in that building, and we don't. And that's a I mean, they play in there more than we do, right? So I think there's a little more familiarity.
Well,
being a shooting person myself, man, it is definitely different without having that little depth perception back there. A closer wall, or the even the fans being closer would be so much better for the depth perception. I mean, it's like shooting outside with a clear backboard. Like, it's just something that you just never really run into. And Savannah State, they played the SIAC tournament in there, so they get a little bit more exposure to it.
But their gym's pretty big too, isn't it? Like their arena.
Yeah. It's definitely big, man. The fans are a little closer though, so it doesn't hurt that depth perception as much as the in market does. And then the way in market like dims their lights around the arena, and it just makes for this really odd look.
It is. Yeah, it's just like this kind of looking off into the void thing behind the basket. It's so dark, and like there's no back to it, like it just looks like it's going off into the depths.
It goes on forever.
And because you're on the rink, even whatever seating there is on the ends is so far back away from the end of the court that it's just really, really weird look. So I think that goes into it a little bit. I mean, being a heavy 3-point shooting team, that doesn't benefit you. But that's excuses too. Like, I'm sure Fadala would say, whatever, they had to shoot on the same background. It's 10 feet, and it's same rim.
But I think what Ron has done with that team, man, is he does such a great job, man. And when you was talking about how they like to pressure the ball a whole lot, and they running around real crazy, and you're gonna get winded really quickly doing that. But that's why he's subbing in 4 and 5 at a time. So it's just like, he has the perfect strategy. He uses all 15 guys whenever he has them available. And he just does a wonderful job with that kind of tactic, man.
Well, and you have the freedom. They have the freedom to play that hard because they know that that's their job. Your job is run out your tank, however long it takes, run it out, and then we'll get you off of there, and you can come and fill it back up. But there's just like a total freedom to just go all out all the time and not try to ration it or conserve it for the end of the game, because we'll get you out and get you refreshed and get somebody else in there. Just go out there and go as hard as you can and run out of gas. And they do, man. I mean, they're sucking wind by the time those guys come to get them sometimes, because they've been going 1,000 miles an hour. And the buy-in, you saw the buy-in last year to some degree, but I think when things started to, when you got to conference play and the wins weren't coming as frequently, you had some probably that were questioning a little bit, and then they go looking elsewhere, and you bring in some new guys, and man, the buy-in this year is off the charts. I mean, those guys are all in, and they are all in for each other, and it seems like really good chemistry. Obviously, when you got that many guys who are competitors in the gym together going at each other, there's probably some little bumps along the way. There's probably a little scrap here and there, and somebody probably doesn't like somebody, but they all seem to be bought into the idea of trying to do something that nobody expects them to do this year, and so far so good.
Man, you can see the buy-in in that scrimmage game against Coker.
Right.
And those guys were, oh my goodness, man, the intensity that they played, it was like this was for the conference. And the way that they ended up winning, it was like, they had won, the final game to get into like the playoffs or something. Like those guys were excited. So I mean, you can see clearly that they have bought into how Ron wants them to run defense and offense, man.
Yeah, that game, and I mean, and that speaks volume about how well, because Coker's 7-0, and
Right.
they're on that top half of the Southeast region. But hey, let's talk about that real quick, as we've got just a few more minutes left on JJ's timer before we get out of here. But they are ranked 7th. They moved up a spot even after the loss to Savannah State. That's huge. Especially
absolutely.
USC Aiken's on a little bit of down tick. They've lost 3 in a row.
Well, and that was prior to the win over IUP, if I'm not mistaken. Those came out on Monday, right?
Monday, Tuesday. And so
right, but like don't the regional rankings come out on Monday and then the top 25 on Tuesday?
Yeah. We didn't get it until Tuesday.
Right. So but it wouldn't have but the votes wouldn't have factored in that IUP game.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
We sent in our votes Sunday night. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you look at that, and then 8 teams, us and Augusta are the only 2 teams who haven't played a conference game. So when I pulled the standings this morning or this afternoon, we're down in 5th, even though we have the second, we're tied with North Georgia with the best record in the league.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have to pay attention to any of that right now.
Yeah. DP's
we're 1 game back. Or a half game back. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
But I mean, you look at the North Georgia number 1, Aiken at 5, Columbus State at 6, Buford at 7, as far as the Peach Belt goes. So, how the turntables have.
How the tables have turned.
Oh, how the
turntables have scratched the records. Yeah.
Scranton, PA. That was the office. That was the office, by the way. Yeah. Oh, how the turntables have.
Yeah. I mean, Columbus State's running off pretty well right now. Aiken has taken a little bit of a hit these last couple games and dropped. Coker, man, I'm looking at they should be number 2 in my book right now, if you're just looking at overall everything. And I sent mine. So we'll see how that goes. And I've still got USCB up there. I moved us up 1. I said I moved us up to number 5. Flagler picked up a win, so they've won like 3 or 4 in a row, if I was looking correctly. But I mean, again, like you told me, you can't hurt a team for not playing twice in a week.
No. Well, I mean, in my opinion, at this point, you don't fall unless you either lose or somebody below you beats somebody that's like a better
That you've
win
lost
than
to.
you have that they
Right.
can keep over, but otherwise, like, you don't fall unless you falter, like you've earned that spot, and that's your spot unless somebody does something to take it away from you or you do something to lose it. Now that you have a little body of work, I mean, early in the season, you got to move people around to accommodate for what's happening, but once you get to a certain point, you kind of know, like, all right, this is who we're working with until something proves otherwise. And you're just kind of adjusting it up and down. Oh, they lost to that team, blah blah blah. But I don't expect a ton of movement from week to week once you get to this point. Now, if you lose 2 or 3 in a row, you're gonna drop. But
yeah, this week, I mean, I don't think it's much of a secret that we talk about it. But I went on with North Georgia, Coker, Lincoln Memorial, Columbus State, Carson Newman, and then I moved us up to number 5, up to or kept us at number 6.
Okay.
Flagler, Lenora Rhine, and then UNC Pembroke jumped in, and then Aiken dropped to 10. I mean, that's where I just kind of kept it and was like, this makes the most sense. Aiken losing a couple games and
yeah. I mean, a 2-loss week, you're gonna fall. I mean, that's real. But it'll all sort itself out. It all sorts itself out. But it's good that we're talking about it. It's relevant. We didn't worry about the regional rankings last year, like that wasn't really on our radar. And now we're like, where are they in the regional rankings? And soon enough, we'll be going, where are they in the top 25? And so you can see the future building here for Sand Shark basketball.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, here's the question, because I was told by the NCAA, because our goalkeeper, Emily Worrell, she was leading the country in the goals against average. I mean, throughout, and she wasn't being recognized. Last year, we were getting recognized for the most goals scored per game, goals per game, and then we were in the top 5. Both Sin was in the top 5 for assist per game. So I was like, well, why aren't we getting recognized for this? And they told us because we're in provisional status. So, which I'm like, okay, we're still competing, but okay. So now I wonder if that's going to affect a top 25. I think if we go off and we, pick up.
I mean, you appeared as receiving votes in the top 25 last week, right?
No, not in the top 25, just in the regional rankings. Did we?
Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I was wrong. I thought I had seen at one point that we did, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I don't know about that. I don't vote on the national poll, just the regional poll. But
gotcha.
Yeah, this week's poll that dropped, or the one that dropped last week, North Georgia had 5 first place votes. Carson Newman was at number 2. Lincoln Memorial picked up 1 first place vote. Coker was 7-0 now. USC Aiken was at number 5. Columbus, then us, Catawba, Lenora Rhine, and UNC Pembroke. So, I mean, realistically, I think there's a very good shot that we could move into the top 5 or top 6 at least.
I would think so. Yeah. Did Columbus State lose this week?
No, Columbus State will stay above us.
Gotcha.
They'll move up, but Aiken will drop. I mean, I would assume Aiken would drop, and then it just depends on how the rest of the vote
should drop.
I'm still not sold on Carson Newman.
Aiken should drop.
Yeah, that's what you said. So
yeah,
but I think where are they at? They're in the SAC. Carson Newman's they're 9-3, so
I just remember looking at their early results and being like, I don't get why they're ranked as high as they are. Like it didn't square for me. But what do I know? I ain't seen them.
Yeah,
I'm looking at numbers on paper.
Yeah, they went 1-1 last week, and then they're 5-2 in the SAC.
Dang, they already played 7 conference games?
Yeah, they've already played 7 conference games. Well, they have a ton. I mean, you've got Coker, Lincoln Memorial, Lenore Ryan, Carson Newman, Tusculum, Catawba, UVA Wise, Wingate, Anderson, Mars Hill, Newberry, Limestone, and Emory and Henry.
Right, yeah.
You've
11.
got, what, 12 teams? I didn't count, but you got to factor in that you got to start playing those games in November.
Yeah, you're right. When you got 22, 24 conference games, you do got to get those started early.
We start next year. We start conference play in December.
Yeah.
Middle Georgia coming in, so it's going to be exciting, man. I'm
early.
Real early. So I'm super excited to see how the guys, take this 16 days off and, get the rest underneath them. And then next Wednesday, I told Luke to plug in his laptop and play kids screaming on the speakers in the gym, because that's what it's going to be like.
Education Day
up in Augusta. So, wait, when do you
get out to one of the local elementary schools to volunteer, this week, so they can start getting accustomed to the cacophony and the vocabulary,
Right. When do you guys get out of school? What's your last day of school?
So whatever that Friday is before Christmas is a half day. What's that? 21st.
Yeah. Y'all fellas want to take a day off and come up to Augusta with me?
What day is that?
Check my schedule.
That's a Wednesday. We can make a road trip out of it. The drive's not half bad. I'm not gonna say it's not half bad at all.
No, it's not.
Made it yesterday.
The bomb. Well, I can't do it because it's on a Wednesday at 11 a.m. I got school. But
yeah, me too.
Well, that's you take a day. And come on and.
Oh no, I'm not taking a personal day for that.
We
might watch the live stream. We might watch the live stream in second block though.
I think the boss is watching right now, and I don't think she will approve that.
I mean, I guess maybe we could, load up everybody from LaVille and take them up there for Education Day and sit on the Sand Shark side of the building.
Yeah, it's a nice
for you.
It is a nice arena. I talked to Kadeja, their SID over there, and they have a
Buc-ee's.
Is there a Buc-ee's up there?
No, I don't think there's a Buc-ee's on the way to Augusta.
No,
you have to go way out of your way up to Florence to get there. But we're gonna have one in the Ville in a couple of years.
Yep, that's the prep work's coming already. But yeah, they've got probably one of the coolest entrances. They've got a big blow up Jaguar head, and they do the cold sparks, which we have the cold sparks machines. We just can't use them right now. Donald, do you want to get your pyrotechnician's license so we can do those?
I'm in.
And all we need somebody with a pyrotechnician's license.
How do we do that, and how long does it take?
Yeah.
What about a redneck pyrotechnician's license?
I mean, it's not fire. That's the funny part. It's not fire. You have to do a little bit of cleanup right afterwards, and I saw it. It's a little bit of titanium dust, but it's such a cool looking thing, especially when they have the lights and everything.
I don't know if I really want to be in the building while we're burning titanium dust. It seems maybe not safe.
I might be with you on that one.
They're made for indoors. They are made for indoors.
Okay.
Well, I'll have to show you guys all this. So
I don't know if it's got titanium dust as byproducts. I'm a little nervous about it.
I'll send you what it is, because it still grinds my gears that we can't use them yet. So,
all right. Well, if you've got a pyrotechnician's license and you'd like to get a free pass into a USCB basketball game, come on down.
Hey, get in touch with your boy one time for the Clayton State game. We've already got him ready to go for the pass list.
January 4th.
We just need to get in there.
One time.
Tell him to bring his dog.
Yeah, bring a dog with you.
All right. Well, I look forward to talking with you guys next week. We might take a week off because there's not much going on. this week.
Holiday break.
Yeah, we'll take this week off.
Maybe we can talk about some NFL.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, let's do that. We'll take a week off this Sunday because there's no games going on the rest of this week, and then we'll hop back on for the 17th and 18th game, and so in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from tonight,
it's a plan.
Second, so we'll all be on break.
All right, boys.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Donald, JJ, as always, thank you guys for joining us. And until in 2 weeks, we'll see you guys. As always, keep those fins up. Have a great night, guys.